meeting, you can call us on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 313-868-0342, or 313. And now, let's go live. Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Almighty God. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. We want to give those who may have disagreements with us, as we usually do. We want to give those who have disagreements with us the opportunity to express those disagreements and to discuss it with us. If you want people to be at peace with you, then whatever is troubling them about you, you should give them a chance to let you know. And whatever troubles you about them, you should let them know. And then discuss it. And it might just be a misunderstanding. You never know until you discuss it. And most of the things that make us hard to get along with is because most of us do not seek peace. You know, I worked in wood shop before. I'm a carpenter too. And so when they deliver the materials to us, or when we go get materials, it's just like studs. Studs are pre-cut. For instance, the average height of ceilings is 8 feet. And so the studs are pre-cut to allow for 3 2x4s, one on the bottom and 2 on the top, to make out the 8 foot. It's a little over 8 feet. Now, when you get to some windows, you got to do something else, you know. So you either cut the studs, or you either have you some extra lumber that you got to cut and remove pieces of it to make it fit where you're trying to put it. Likewise, when you're trying to get along with people, sometimes you have to take parts of even your personality. You have to cut that. You hear people say, "Why don't you cut that out?" Well, you know, some things you may be doing may offend people, and if it's not going to harm you to stop doing it, like the book says, if eating meat, even if I eat meat, if it offends my brother, then I just won't eat it in front of him. I'll cut it out in front of him for his sake. Do you understand? You know, because it's not that God has forbidden us to eat meat. It's just like most of us don't know what meat is. We think meat is flesh because we've been mistaught. Of course, now when you're talking about eating peach, you say, well, this is the meat of it here. And you talk about everything but the seed. And so meat don't mean what you think it means. We look at animals, and they are flesh eaters. Lions, tigers, they are flesh eaters. We we should not be flesh eaters. But we convince ourselves that it's okay because we've been guided by a delusional mind that we call devil for short, a deviser of illusion. You see, and I wanted to show you that we have not misrepresented to you. You don't hear actually. You haven't heard white people come in here and say we misrepresent now as to who they are. But even though they don't say anything, since you and I became them, thank you, baby. Since you and I became them in our mind, for we went to schools that were set up by and for them. And when for instance, when they said the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, it went without saying it was the white people. Well, that's who was establishing the government in the first place. That's why they had to. We were their slaves, and they had to modify or amend certain things to in the Constitution to recognize us. There's, I think someone said about the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments or whatever. But so the school system was set up by white people for white people, which made all the sense in the world, since it was their country. They didn't change the school system and what was being taught simply because they no longer made it against the law for black people, as they called us, their Negroes, to be educated. So when we went to their schools, we were transformed into grafted white people. And, when you graft like a skin graft, you take it from one body or one place, they cut it out of there, and they put it into another place. It may be on the same body, or it may be from a different body. And they put it on another body where it grows permanently. Like Luther Burbank, he did that with some plants. And that's what I learned in, I think it was elementary school. So they took their mind after removing our own people's history and mentality from us. They stripped us of that and then put their mentality in us where it grew permanently. That's why we have such a hard time uniting. That's why we stand up and we'll stand up and lie and look right at you, and we'll mistreat black people while claiming that we love them. We mistreat them, and you steal from one another. You hate to see each other with anything, because the mind that's in you is the mind of those who enslaved you. Now, it wouldn't do me no good to get behind closed doors and say this where the Caucasian don't hear me, and then he could offer some type of rebuttal. You know, if that's one of the reasons that they have public hearings in this country, because they wanted justice. They didn't want you to. You can't just go and accuse people and don't give them a chance to face you. You know, if he has some objection to something I'm saying, I welcome him to straighten it out. If I got the history wrong, if I'm stating facts wrongly, if these are not facts, then you're welcome to straighten it out. You know, why do you think black people, Negroes, you know, even though now you refer to yourself as black, and you don't even give credit to where that came from? It is the Muslims who taught you that you are black people. We taught you that. White people called you Negroes, and that's what you were answering to. It's just like now you call yourself African Americans. That's anything but black. You don't want to be black. That's because of the mind that you have from white people. It's easy to as the old saying goes, to eliminate slavery on paper. That's easy. The stroke of a pen. As I say, you can take. We used to have a saying, you know, one time when I was in LA growing up, you know, we used to love to make fun of each other. We still do it. And it's just as wrong now as it was back then. It's wrong to make fun of anybody. Making people the butt of your joke. It's wrong. Because it's not a one of us that enjoy being the butt of other people's jokes. But we do it because we listen to our devils. You see? As a man thinketh in his heart, in his mind, so is he. So let him be. Well, you know, a doctor is only a doctor because he thinks medicine. The knowledge that's in his brain dictates the actions of him in relationship to people who are sick. And so, you know, he is the one that you go to, just like when a ship is being inspected or whatnot, they will take it, dock it, and then put it in dry dock, and then they go all around it and do whatever repairing and what they want to do to it. Well, the dock, the human dock we call him a doctor. You see, and so we are. We want to make clear to you what you and I have to overcome. The white man couldn't overcome the mind that was in him because that's all he ever had. He couldn't unmake himself because the mind that was put in him to help make sure that he did what that mind was designed for, he was given rulership. And what do all men with power want? There you go. And see that what he got, giving him power. Why should he give it up? So that's why he kept on going with it. And it's hard to convince him when a prophet came among him, telling him to stop it, stop his evil and whatnot. Why? Stop it for what? No, I'm gonna stop you. That's what he say. You don't tell me what to do. But his maker did warn him and tell him that remember the Sabbath day now. Yes. The Lord himself will come. And even though he is good as said, Jacob is good as said to him, I'm your Lord. But I have a Lord too, and he's going to show up, and then you won't be able to keep doing what I taught you. He will change everybody. So you cannot change people if you cannot first stop them from making excuses not to. You see. So he was the when you hear about Adam in the Bible, the first man, you know, he was the first man, Adam. See, the first man was God. But the bringing in of the first man was from an atom of life. Well, hydrogen is the most plentiful atom of life as we know it. And so he used that which was most plentiful and mixed it with some oxygen and then some dust of the universe and formed him a temple out of that. And so now to bring about a new man, he needed two new atoms. And so he made a natural atom and a spiritual atom. You see? And from those two, one new man, one new mind. That mind is standing here addressing the whole world now. You see, on the World Wide Web. So, both now that were in conflict, there's no more conflict with them now in one body. And so I'm able to make peace, since the natural mind and the spiritual mind are at peace inside of me. I can bring peace between the natural and spiritual mind outside of me by giving you the truth that ends the conflict. It is it's no argument that you can present now of which mind should lead and guide the other. The natural mind left to itself will always self-destruct, because it's like fire. A fire left to itself will use up all the materials, like a virus, use up all the material, and then which means it once it uses up all its fuel, it dies. It don't create no fuel for itself. It uses what was already there. Do you understand? But the spiritual knows how to form a balance. You understand? And we learn this renewable fuels. You see, and we learn when it's not necessary to destroy. It's just like when you look at fire, it's almost a living thing, because it breathes, it can reproduce, and it expels waste. So you can starve it to death, right? Yeah. So actually, you can never get rid of fire, because everything is full of fire. Because that which is composed of atoms. And there's one thing that we haven't did the total research on, that I want to research, because I'm wondering about dust, dirt. That's the one thing that I do wonder about. The messenger kind of put that on my mind when he said that the God made himself out of the material that comes last, so that there would never be a last to him. And so I know even in the most volatile, the hottest fire that I've ever seen, it just won't burn dust. And if dust won't burn, then it's a matter that we have to say, what is it? So it's really something to think over. So So we, but I didn't want to get away from our subject. I wanted to bring you back to our history and how we became grafted white people. You see? Yeah.
Can we turn the heat?
You can turn it off. Don't turn it off. Put it on 72. The that was the last thing that had to happen. Is what Yaqub told his uncle when he first decided to make the devil a living being. He told his uncle, he said, when I get to be an old man, I'm going to make a people that will be wise enough to rule you. And Jacob's name was changed to Israel. You see. And so when they got over 5,000 years old, white people figured out how to enslave us and rule us. Ruling us from within, that's a pretty hard task to figure out how to get inside of somebody and make them enemies to themselves. But they figured it out. And that's what he used our memory against us. You act based on what you've been taught, and what you have been taught is that which is committed into your memory. You see. So, it's just like history. We don't think much of black people because we didn't know nothing about the history of black people. Not really. We only know the history of Negroes. Even in Black History Month, they still just teach you Negro history. They just changed what they was calling. Harriet Tubman, Benjamin Banneker, Noble Drew Ali. You got Black History Month, and you in it now. They call this February Black History Month.
Excuse me, son of man.
Yes.
The brother said I could ask a question. I'm gonna make it real quick. I was listening to the Orthodox Muslims, and one of the questions I would want to know why they don't. They said one of the reasons they don't respect Elijah Muhammad because he couldn't speak Arabic, and they say to be a real Muslim, you got to know Arabic.
Well, I tell you what you do when you find in the Holy Quran where it says you need to speak a certain language in order to, whether it's Arabic, Hebrew, or whatever. When you find where the Quran says that, then show it to me, and then I will say we should all go learn Arabic or whatever. But until you show me that, then I don't care what the Orthodox people say or nobody else says. I don't worship the Orthodox people. I worship Allah. And if you want me to agree with something, you better make sure that you can show me in Allah's word that Allah said. They ain't like y'all. As the Holy Quran taught me, it says if an unrighteous man brings you news, look carefully into it. Well, the Bible already told us there ain't none righteous. No, not one. So whenever anybody brings you some news, before you run with it, you should ask them to prove what they say. And if they say that this is, since Allah is the one that Muslims claim to worship, then they should certainly be able to show you in Allah's word that Allah said what they telling you.
So I don't need to know Arabic.
I simply answered your question. Now you figure out the answer from there on your. You decide what you want to do with it from there yourself.
Thank you, son of man.
You're welcome. You know, y'all don't listen because you asked me a question after I done answered your question. And when you show me in any scripture that a particular language was what was required in order to be a true worshiper of Allah, well, then I'll go learn that language and invite other people to do it. But until you do that, don't come to me with something off the top of your head. That don't work with me. I don't offer you things and just give it to you and tell you to take it. I show you where I got it from. Even if I got something from sources other than the scriptures, I tell you where I got it from. And that way you can see that I didn't make it up myself. So we was in the throes of slavery, and that's what he brought us here for. He didn't bring us over here to make us his equal. He brought us over here to make us unequal, not only to him, but unequal to all human beings on the earth. And so, in that state, we would be tools and slaves for anyone that had knowledge, because we had none. Like a lodestone, a magnet, can make any piece of iron that don't have load in it. It can make it move without touching, and can drag it around and do whatever. Can't do that with another magnet. It'll flip on it and come through it, and as good as say, no, we equal now. So this is what Allah has done. He found us without knowledge and start putting knowledge in us. So it ain't so easy to come in here and manipulate me. That's why they stopped trying. You can't come in here and convince me of a lie. Nope. I know how to find the truth. I know when someone is telling you something that is true, they can always prove it's true, because truth proves itself. When you know the truth guides you to how to prove that it's the truth. As we say, Allah guides to himself whom he pleases. Yes. And Allah, he is the truth. So, most people, when you tell them that, they start thinking inside themselves, well, then it ain't no God. Well, that's what people do when they don't pay attention in class. They drop out of school. And so they never learn the truth. You know? But anyway, I want to remind all of us, you notice now, all you young people, you didn't hear nobody contradict me when I told you that if it wasn't for the Muslims, you'd still be calling yourself Negroes. Any of y'all want to take me to task on that? You see, I'm old enough to remember. I'm not no baby. I'm old enough to remember what was going on in the 50s and in the 60s. When you got your black pride and all that kind of stuff. I know where that came from. Because I experienced it myself. And I didn't find out where it came from until I visited Muhammad's temple. So, I mean, I'm still waiting on the Orthodox world to respect Prophet Muhammad. Let alone talking about the respecting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm still waiting on them to show respect for Prophet Muhammad, other than lip profession. Because even Prophet Muhammad said 3 generations, which was approximately 90 years after him, he said they would no longer be of him. I mean, the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, had people. You got people now claiming to be carrying on the messenger's teaching. But when the messenger was here, people was pretending to be carrying on his teachings and was lying. You call them hypocrites. Let me show you. Now, if they would do that while the man is dead, as Jesus said, if they do these things in a green tree, what will they do in a dry one? Yeah, I mean, people around me doing this stuff. Yeah.
And he taught me what he taught me. You ought to believe it or let it alone. He's not a God to beg us. He's not out to beg for him of people.
Now, you notice I'm about the only teacher that stand up and act like he don't care whether or not you accept him or not. Even though the rest of them had been telling you that that's what it was supposed to be. I think too much of myself and the wisdom that Allah have put in me to think I need to beg you to be with me. No, I do not need to beg you to be with me. Before it's over with, all of you going to be begging me to let you be with me. Then I may remember how you acted. Remember, it says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. I will do what? Just like people say, well, he don't know how to talk to people. Yeah, you taught me how to talk to you. Brother, if you had met me when I first accepted this mission, you wouldn't even recognize me now. I used to take whatever people said, just yes, ma'am, yes, sir. And the more I took it, the more you dished it out. That was back in the 70s. And so Allah he said, you better toughen up there, little fella. So I had to keep on, and pretty soon I started arguing with people. The Holy Quran told me, argue with them in the best manner. Well, what's the best manner? The messenger told me the best manner. He said, I learned that when I first went into the temple. I just didn't never apply it like it was supposed to be applied. It says never. It says always go in the way of peace. Treat others like you want to be treated. Never be the aggressor upon any man. But if you are attacked, fight with those that fight with you. I only understood fight to be with your fist at that time. But a verbal argument is a fight of sort. It's a sort of fight. And if you're not up to it, you will be the loser. We take truth and hurl it, speak with great force against falsehood. What you do if somebody grab you? Don't you take your fist and with great force try to fix it where they don't grab you no more? Well, we take truth and hurl it against falsehood so it knocks out its brain and lo it vanishes. If you don't put up an argument against falsehood, falsehood don't just stop being, darkness don't just go away. Light has to drive it away. Do you understand? So we take truth and we hurl it against falsehood. We, meaning myself and the holy angels. Ain't got nothing to do with you. Ain't but how many mouths in your head? I ain't. That's why I told you, you bring anybody that want to argue, you bring them to me. You don't stand up out there call yourself arguing with nobody. You're not the head. It's like this lady come tell me, well, this Muslim told me that the Bible is revised and this, that, and the other. She talking to the messenger telling him what some Muslim told her. That's why you don't need no bunch of teachers. Need one shepherd. That way everybody got the same idea, the same understanding. And there is no confusion. So, listen to this.
He's independent of us. He tells us the truth and tells us to take it or leave it.
What he said? He's telling you what I would do. I tell you the truth, and you take it or leave it. I'm not fair. I'll listen to you if you think you got an argument against what I teach. But thus far, all you've heard was people come in here with the devil mind and insult me for telling them the truth. I offered them $20,000 and my life if they could show me that I'm lying. Most of them don't even know what a lie is. They do it so much, they think what they doing ain't lying. Don't you know when you accuse somebody of saying something that's not true and you can't prove it, you just lie? If you cannot prove why you think that when you go to court, you bring people up suing somebody and you lose, if they countersue, they can get court costs and stuff like that for you bringing that stuff in there against them that wasn't so. Yeah. Well, you don't just automatically get court costs, but if you sue for it, yeah, then they pay your attorney's fees. That's what they get for hauling you in there. This white man, he a long way from being a dummy now. He know how to break you up. You come in there lying on him or whatever, bringing something that's frivolous or whatever, and make you pay a price for it. That'll make you think next time. You won't go jump on him no more. Huh? Yeah, that fix it. So listen to the messenger here.
It's to our benefit if we are accepted people. You ought to believe it or let it alone. He's not a God to beg us. He's not out to beg for him of people. He's independent of us. He tells us it's to be if we are accepted. It's to our destruction if we disbelieve it. We have always been like our enemy. And believes in our enemy and not our friend. I know hypocrites of mine. They started out following me very nice. And now they're not following me, only in words.
You hear that? Say, he no hypocrites. Started off following him nice. And he said, now they only followed me in words. He told us while he was here, he said, the nation is honeycombed with hypocrites. Trouble with giving people stuff, people start falling in love with the stuff. And pretty soon, that's all they live for is more stuff. And the Holy Quran says that. Let's see here. Yeah. In chapter 43, and we're gonna go to the 33rd verse. And we're not going to tarry long there. I just want to show you that the Nation of Islam proved that. I mean, we started getting a whole lot of stuff. You know, America is proof of that. Just about every nation on earth is proof of that. It says, and were it not that all people would become one disbelieving community, we would provide for those who disbelieve in the beneficent roofs of silver for their houses and stairs of silver by which they ascend, and of silver the doors of their houses and the couches on which they recline, and of gold. And of all this is not but a provision of this world's life. And the hereafter is with thy Lord only for those who fear God and keep his commandments, not for those who are in love with stuff. But you hear all the time, I must be doing something right. Look at all I got. Yeah, right. What can I say, man? It ain't nothing that's going on that ain't laid out and covered in the Word of God. Everything that people do, everything people saying, even their thoughts. Vehement hatred has already appeared out of their mouths, and what their hearts conceal is greater still. I remember Minister Farrakhan was riding with the messenger once, and they was looking at this old, Minister Farrakhan told us about this. They was looking at this old white man walking across the street, and they was in the car and waiting on him to cross the street. And the messenger looked at Minister Farrakhan and told you, if you could read his mind, what he thinks when he looks at you, you would die of a heart attack. You see? Their maker made them think that we was the worst enemy that they could ever have. I mean, how do you fathom somebody making you, and then at the end of 6,000 years, gonna just do away with you? How would you feel about that? Well, now you know how they feel. Huh? There's an old saying I used to hear people say. I didn't understand it until I accepted Islam. Do unto them others before they do it unto you. Huh? Well, that's something that white people was thinking. And you couldn't really blame them. I felt the same way. Ain't no sense in me lying. I would have felt the same way. If we had told them the truth, then they wouldn't have did what we needed them to do. We told them the truth. We just didn't tell them the whole truth. Do you understand? We left some out. That it was not their flesh that we was going to do away with. But we was going to do away with the enemy of their flesh. The devil is the enemy to man. A corrupt mind is the enemy to whoever is unfortunate enough to house it. Is fire the enemy to people? Well, that's what a wicked mind is to flesh. It will consume it. It will destroy it. Even the if you saw, let me see, what was that? Godfather, the first one. Remember when they was all sitting around the table talking about drugs? Saying no drugs, at least not in our communities. We're not gonna have it. And put it over there with the niggas. Right? Just like starting a fire in the forest and tell me, now we ain't gonna have it over here. Once you started the fire gonna just spread whichever way it blow, the wind blow it. Do you understand? Now, even in what's Bernie Sanders' hometown? Where's he? Vermont. They got drug problem. White youngsters, just drugs is tearing it up. Fire is not loyal to anyone. Wickedness will destroy whoever practices it. Just because you're the one started, don't mean it ain't gonna get you. Don't burn so and so. He the one started us. No, burn him too. What? It's certain things. That's the first rule in dealing with fire. Unnecessarily. Don't play with fire. You bound to get burned. Huh? If you know something is not good for your children, why would you give it to anyone's children? But the corrupt mind is what they had, and so their mind made evil fast seeming to them. Oh, it's okay if you do it to them, just don't let it do to us. Now let's go make this money. Right? The love of money. Once it takes root in the heart, it's a root that leads to nothing but evil. It is a root of all evil. No good in it. The love of money. Now, I'm not saying this in a vacuum. I'm saying this in front of the whole world. How come ain't nobody arguing back at me since I'm not teaching right? The scripture teaches you that God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. You know, when you reap what you sowed, you may have just planted one thing there. You get back a whole tree full of that same thing you put it in the ground. They have sown the wind. They shall reap the whirlwind. Oh. So you heard the messenger? He knew that he had people that was only following him with their mouth. That's one of the reasons why, I mean, he may not say it, but I I can, 2 plus 2 is always 4. You see, unless you get a positive 2 plus a negative 2, then you got 0. I think that's how it works, ain't it? And I might be wrong, but the to hear Minister Farrakhan going to Scientology and calling a Christian preacher his spiritual father. He went in there and found the meaning of his name like I did. And he decided that he's mad at the messenger. Not because the messenger lied to him, but because the messenger saw him when he thought that he didn't. And the messenger told him he would tell him the meaning of his name in the hereafter. I told him the meaning of his name. Fairy is forger of lies. Canis, he hid himself. Put the 2 together, fiery con. And that's it. And so you, many of you get mad when somebody tells you the truth, especially when you've been lying or when you thought that you was putting something over. You notice how people get mad at you when they lying to you and trying to trick you, and then you ask them some questions. They say, "What you asking me all these questions for?" What? I'm supposed to get scared to ask you questions? Well, why you just don't answer the question? If you're telling me the truth, what is the problem with me asking you questions? Huh? I know what your problem is. When you're lying and somebody keep asking you questions, they keep making you lie some more. You can't tell the truth and defend a lie. You got to tell another lie to defend the lie. And when you make people lie, when they started and you make them keep lying, then they get mad. It's sad. So, just like, they didn't want nobody asking questions to nobody in the Trump administration. So, I mean, really, man, y'all just, y'all full of it, all of you. So I just warn you that, all liars shall have their part in the lake that burneth with fire and brimstone. You're gonna be killing each other out in the street pretty soon. Yeah. There's no such thing as a person who is a liar that knows how to be a true friend to anyone. They're not true friends to anyone. In order to be a true friend, you got to have truth in you. Even your friendship is based on a lie. You see how that came out with Michael Cohen. I'll take a bullet for Mr. Trump. That's what he said. And before it was over with, even Donald Trump was talking about his great friend, Michael. And next thing you know, he called him a rat. Huh? What? There's no true friendship between low-down people. Like wolves. Wolves make a good team when they hunting. course, now when it get time to eat, now they squabbling. That's all a wolf is a wild dog. If you ever had a dog, you know I used to have fun with the dog, with my dog. I'd feed him and put the bowl down there, and then I'd put my hand, slide my hand over there, and the dog start growling. I just fall out laughing. I said, "You're a crazy dog." I see where it say you bite the hand that feeds. You about a dummy. So you can't trust a dog. People say, "Oh, dog trust it." No, he ain't. Let him get rabies. He don't remember you. No. You done forgot. That's an animal. And I don't care how much you feed him and give him everything, he's an animated malcontent. That's why we call him animal. Animated malcontent. You can't set him at peace. That's Allah's way of showing you the difference in you and all of these creatures that he gave you dominion over. Anyway, I'm going to let you hear the messenger once more again. Because I know sometimes we don't have listen. But you had better learn to start listening. Because if you don't first learn to listen, it's like the captain of the FOI used to say. He said, "Brother, you must learn to listen and then listen to learn." I bear him witness. Most of us love the sound of our voice so much that you can't even get us to listen. Even when they're quiet, they want you to hurry up and get through talking so they can say something. You don't hear them come in here and tell me, "Well, can I talk now?" Boy, you little rascal, you can I talk now? So he's telling you what he was doing. He was just waiting on you to hurry up and get through. Whatever you talking about, hurry up and get through so I can say something. So I can hear myself talk. Right? Yeah. And that's why you go from one generation to the next, being everybody's doormat. Because you like to hear yourself talk. You like to make noise. Somebody got their phone off mute? I don't hear them. What's the number?
I don't know if anybody else. I unmuted mine and I muted that because you were in your subject matter.
What is it, brother?
What statement in the question? First the statement, I was talking to you about building fund in the meeting and to remind the believers that you wanted us to continue to put the $5 in each month.
Yes, sir.
Per person in our household because it's still helping.
Yes, it's still helping. I wouldn't have started it if I didn't want you to continue it. And I want people to continue to tell other people about the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Yes. We need that, them funds to continue to do things that will benefit you later. So don't stop contributing to the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. It's just $5 a month per person, per household. Gracious, do something for your future. You don't wish you had did something. You got people who wait until they start talking about Well, it looked like Russia and the U.S. about to go to nuclear war. And then they start talking about, well, maybe we better build a bomb shelter. You're too late. You don't start talking about building a shelter when they start talking about dropping the bombs. Keep on giving your money to these lying preachers and stuff. You're going to wish you had gave it to me. You know, go ahead. You just give it all to them. I'm not going to beg you. What I look like begging you? No. And I told you to keep your receipts. Didn't I? Everything that you gave to me when I asked for it, I told you to keep the receipt for it. Whether it was for contributions to help the station or whatever, I told you to keep your receipts. Some of y'all, that's my followers. If you didn't get your last monies back, you need to tell me. I didn't mail some of it. Some of it I walked up and gave it to you. Now, if you didn't get your monies back, you let me know. You give me a holler. I'll see that you get it back. If I told you it was a loan, that's what it was. It wasn't no gift. It was a loan. Oh. So I want
You ought to believe it or let alone. In person. Not in a. We can rarely say that God has visited us in the in person. Not in a spirit form, but in flesh and blood. And he taught me what he taught me. You ought to believe it or let alone. He's not a God to beg us. He's not out to beg for him of people. He's independent of us. He tells us the truth and tells us to take it or leave it. It's to our benefit if we are accepted. It's to our destruction if we disbelieve it. We have always been like our enemy, proud, and believes in our enemy and not our friend. I know hypocrites of mine. They started out following me very nice. And now they are not following me, only in words. So I say, you are putting yourself in a position to be not liked nor wanted. Go away from me, and you have no friend with God nor man. This is what I am telling you. Leave me, you have no friend with God nor man. I will repeat it. I am the door, I am the gate.
I mean, he's laying it out there. How can you have friendship true friendship when you're not true. No, you ain't got no true friendship. You just got some friendship with that's false, just like you being false. Everybody that's around you is false. That's why they like to be around you, because they false. You ain't seen no hawks flying with doves. Creatures that are alike, they hang out together. You see? It's just like you all, you come visit me sometime during the day, you see me hanging out with the messengers of God. It's because I'm one of them. I'm satisfied to hear him talking. I'm not jealous of him. And he wasn't jealous of me. Set your face for religion, being upright, the nature made by Allah in which he have created who? Go away from me, you have no friendship with God or man. Yeah, that's what he said. Why? You go away from me. And then obviously you ain't keeping my commandments. So it's written, you are my friend if you do whatsoever I command you, if you are a Muslim. Now, and if you don't do what I tell you, you ain't my friend. And so if you don't have no friendship with God, nor men. I didn't hear you. Oh, yeah, we're making it plain. Jesus said, I'm the door. What did the messenger just say? He said, I'm the door. I'm the gate of this people. All of the messengers of God were the everlasting doors. They were the doors to truth. Truth is everlasting. The truth of God is. His truth endureth forever. To all generations. Didn't hear you. Yeah. Now I'll let you hear him say it again.
Right. Nor wanted. Go away from me, and you have no friend with God nor man. This is what I am telling you. Leave me, you have no friend with God nor man. I will repeat it. I am the door, I am the gate. I could easily say to you, when you seem to want to walk away from me, go right ahead, buddy. Go right ahead, sister. But you can't get to where you want to go. Hell or heaven. Unless you find yourself tangling with me. One thing about it, and why I speak like that, because you have been given to me. You don't belong to nobody now but me. The Bible.
Now, before I go further with that, if you recall, how does your head speak of its mind? The head of every man? As Jesus said the same thing. Jesus said, all mine are thine. And all thine are mine. Huh? There's ain't no mystery. It's all plain. It's in black and white here. It said, my sheep hear my voice and they follow me. Huh? There's all that's mine. They belong to every one of us. And as you did it to the least of these my brethren, that was me. And so I'm the head of the head. They say the head of every man is Christ, and the head of Christ is who? Is God. And know ye that the Lord, he is the one that the truth is with, and he will guide you. He is the God of truth. As the book teach you, God is a spirit. When he, the spirit of truth, is come, when he, the God of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. If the Bible teaches you in the book of Revelation, in the first chapter, it reads as follows. The Revelator said, I was in the spirit. The 10th verse. I was in the spirit of truth on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet. What did Paul say he would be when he was absent from the body? He'll be in the spirit on the Lord's day. He'll be with him. Is that right? Okay. And so he heard a voice behind him as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first man Adam and the last man Adam. And what you see, write it in a book and send it unto the 7 churches which are in the earth, in Asia. There's your understanding of why we call ourselves Asiatic black people. Because we are the original people of the earth. We didn't call the earth by different names. It's the earth. But when we gave it to the white man and these younger races, that's why they've been competing with each other. We told them all that they was great people. Well, that's the truth. They are great. We made them great. And so they have been competing, but there was one that we made specifically to have dominion over everybody. Let me show you something. And now this one, he never forgot. He never forgot what his mission was. He was to have dominion over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the face of the earth. Now, if you look at the planet sometime, the planet Earth, it come on channel 265, sometime 264, I think. But you turn to it sometime and just look at it. This is what in the second chapter of the Holy Quran, this is talking about white people. You go to the 30th verse. Because people call themselves second guessing the God who made them and made them evil. But it was more to them than evil. Do you understand? That's why he's called the family tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Huh? Yes.
Did you say the second chapter or the seventh chapter?
I said the second chapter, chapter 2.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And the 30th verse, the greatness of man and need for revelation. Notice, is there a great place or a mediocre place on earth? What makes the place great or mediocre? The one who's there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Babylon the Great is fallen. Oh, Lucifer, how art thou fallen from heaven? How art thou cut down to the ground? Huh? If he fell, he must have been up high. Is that right? Can you imagine when there was giants in the earth, like them redwoods and stuff, before we got smart and made mountains and stuff to last much longer? We raised mountains in the earth lest it be convulsed with us over time. 2,000 years, some of them trees are 2,000 years old, but 2,000 years ain't no more than 2 days in the scheme of things. You need something that's gonna last, man. And so, remember, it said there were giants in here, and you gotta remember there's still some giants to remind you that it used to be a lot in there. Now, it says, and when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to place a ruler. I'm going to put a mind's rule. Flesh don't rule nothing. Mind's rule. We wrestle against the rulers of the darkness of this world. I didn't hear you. Don't be acting like you already knew this. No, you didn't already know. When I say no, I mean understanding. Now you getting some understanding. Now you can be held responsible. I'm going to place a mind in the earth, in an earthen vessel. Where did black man come from? These bodies came out of the earth. Well, then everything that came out of these bodies came out of the earth. I didn't hear you. That's why you got to eat stuff that come out the earth. It's just like people might see me drop something, and you know how people get up. You picked that up out the floor. Where did them vegetables that you eating come from? They came out the floor. They came out the ground. You eating dirt. Why are you eating dirt? Because I'm dirt. Got to replenish it. So you say, well, it ain't dirt, it's broccoli. Okay, you call it what you want. All right. Let's see here. It says, they said, wilt thou place in it a mind that is going to make mischief in it and shed blood? Well, remember now, this is a reminder. So over in Genesis, it tells you this. In the 27th verse of the first chapter of Genesis, the 26th verse, it says, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Subdue it. Go forth conquering. Wilt thou place in it such as will make mischief in it and shed blood in it? Huh? He's going to make mischief and shed blood. If he's going to go subduing things, he's going to be making mischief and shedding blood. Huh? He said, and we celebrate thy praise and extol thy holiness. He said, surely I know something that I understand what you do not. I know what you know not. And he taught Adam all the names. Then presented them to the angels. He said, now tell me the names of those if you are right. They said, glory be to thee. We have no knowledge but that which thou hast taught us. Surely thou art the knowing one, the wise one. And he said, no knowledge but that which thou hast taught us. Surely thou art the knowing one, the wise one. And he said to Adam, oh, that I know what is unseen in the heavens and the earth, and I know what you manifest and what you hide. So, who been teaching us the names of all of the creatures and the little critters and stuff on the earth? He teach you that on the Nature Channel in school. He wrote books on these things. Is that right? Yes. Well, he's the one that the book was talking about.
But he mustn't break through yet. He listens carefully to pinpoint his target. It's moving.
See how he been studying the creatures of earth? Watch this.
Though small, but
You hear him name that little creature that fox just got? A vole. Would you have known the name? Adam informed them of their name. Huh? So just because you know he the devil now and all of that stuff, that don't mean go disrespect him. Who made him? God did. Who gave him dominion? Just because now the dominion is being passed to us don't mean that now we're supposed to go around acting like the one that we condemn. Because even while he was acting the way he was acting, God taught him to be that way. It's just like when what's his name? I don't know. That man name that was interviewing Minister Farrakhan on 60 Minutes. Mike Wallace. Yeah, when Mike Wallace was interviewing Minister Farrakhan, you see, I might can find that. He kind of put Farrakhan in a position that to show that Minister Farrakhan actually didn't understand what was going on. Let's see, here it is. Just give me a minute.
Have suffered down the years. He has been even more bitter about America's Jews. But even though many Americans, black and white, perceive him as a racist, this leader of the Nation of Islam, with his million-man march last October, made himself a force to be reckoned with. In person, this rather private man can come across as earnest and reasonable in professing his desire for a true reconciliation between the races and religions in America. But almost everything he says has been drowned out by the current controversy over his recent meetings in the Middle East with sworn enemies of the United States. Tomorrow, Minister Farrakhan embarks on a nationwide tour to explain his motives for that trip and to blunt the criticism that has led the Justice Department to investigate whether he must now register as a foreign agent.
For me to register as a foreign agent is to give America control over what I say. And that's what America wants, is control over what I say. In the foreign agent law, you can't influence public opinion. That's my business, to influence public opinion, especially when liars are deceiving the American people. So no, I will never register as a foreign agent because
See, now, even that, that's not what representatives of God are. They're not there to influence public opinion. They're there to bring you God's word, bring you the truth. Do you know when you start using words like opinions and whatnot? I'm not here to give you an opinion. I'm here to give you the truth that leaves you in a position where you either accept it or reject it. There is no opinion that you're going to form about it. An opinion is a private interpretation of it. You know, in most instances, you know, it's just like when you get a court's opinion, when they use that word, the court's opinion. Well, what the court is actually doing, what a judge that's reputable is actually doing, is giving you the judgment that is based upon law. Do you understand? You know, and he calls it the court's opinion, not his opinion, the court's opinion. The word of God is God's opinion. It's his judgment. When I give you that, that is not up for debate and other opinions added to it. That is either you accept it or you don't. Whether you accept it or not, that is the final word on it. Do you understand? In their world, you can appeal it because what? Because he's acknowledging he's not the supreme being. So he set up a court in his land that he called the Supreme Court. Now you can go to them and maybe you can get 9 of them that will adjudicate in your favor or whatnot. But it is in the way I read law. The law states this, as far as you're concerned, as far as your case is concerned. Huh? But since there is no higher court, no higher opinion of the word of God than God, well, that's why he said, okay, there's no book higher than the word of God. Well, then he said, I'm going to give this to a mortal. The Father judgeth no man. The book don't judge you, because the book is not flesh. You have a right to be judged by flesh, since you are flesh. So the word is going to be made flesh and dwell among you. And so now the word is flesh, standing here talking to you. Now it's up to you to, if anyone want to argue with me about it, you're welcome to come in and put forth your argument. You see, we're not here to just say things and just throw it out there and then tell you you can't question it or argue with it. Yes, you can, if you think you have an argument. But watch what Mike Wallace says to him. See, he already got him on the defensive. Once you are on the defensive, white people ain't gonna bring nobody on their television to go back and forth with that they ain't figured out a way how to deal with. You ain't never seen them bring the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on no prime time media nowhere. And you ain't never gonna see them bring me on that. No. Even when I was talking to a congressman, they didn't even want to mention that it was the Son of Man interviewing him. They wanted to say that the new Nation of Islam was interviewing Congressman. He was having an interview with the new Nation of Islam. How do you have an interview with the new Nation of Islam? But that's the way they put it. But, you know, I don't blame them. I probably wouldn't bring me out there either. If you had one white preacher told one of my followers, he said, I'm not going to, we're going to cancel our meeting. I'm not going to help the Son of Man convert white people. And he called me the Son of Man. No. Nobody that's in power likes to give up their power. Huh? But whether you give it up, as the messenger told me, he said, you're not going to just give up his seat. You got to take him out of his seat. Well, I'm taking him out of his seat now. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking the current corrupt mind that's done took over the world. I'm taking truth and casting that mind out. Let me hear you form an argument against something that I'm saying. Just think up an argument against what I'm saying. And let me hear it. See? If you don't have any facts, you don't have any arguments. Now, watch what, you know, he's talking about he here to shape public opinion. Well, are you a messenger? Are you a man of God, or are you a advertising agency? I mean, what? You never heard the messenger say he was here to shape public opinion? That's not what we're here for. We're here to give you the truth from God and give you a choice to make. To accept it or reject it. Not to go out giving your opinions about it. But
that
Farrakhan says he does not worry about what the government thinks of his traveling to Tehran, where he spoke to millions of Iranians celebrating the 17th anniversary of the Islamic Revolution.
You cannot say that you don't care what the government thinks about what you are doing. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this, he said that we could get help from Russia today, but I respect the American government, and I will not go to their enemies seeking help. I don't need them. Huh? Would you appreciate somebody living in your house, going to your enemies, seeking help, as you would that men do to you? If someone in the government think that I'm somehow harming their government, harming their people, they need to unmute their phone. They listening. Tell me what it is that I'm doing that's harming your country. Even if you're just a regular citizen, tell me, what am I doing that you consider harmful to America or to any country where I'm speaking on the internet? What's harmful about what I'm teaching? Since when did right become harmful? I do care. You know, one of the names that the scripture referred to me as, it says benignant God. You know what benignant means? It means harmless. I'm not the one telling you to go blow people up. Y'all doing that. If everybody listened to me, the arms manufacturers would be out of business. Is that harmful? I ain't never seen a harmless gun. Anyway.
Uprising that led to the taking of the U.S. hostages, or about his much publicized visit to Baghdad to confer with Iraq's Saddam Hussein. On his return home to Chicago in February, he would explain himself only to his brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam.
My job was to get up quickly and get out of America and connect the Nation of Islam and Black America to Africa, to the Middle East, and to the Muslim world. That was why I had to go.
And one of the first places he went to was Libya, where he received a warm welcome from Muammar Gaddafi. The Libyan news agency, JANA, reported Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi saying the following: "Our confrontation with America used to be like confronting a fortress from outside. Today we have found a loophole to enter the fortress from within." You are a loophole for Muammar Gaddafi, who you say offered you $1 billion, who has in the past given you $5 million?
He offered me more than $1 billion. He offered me the wealth of the nation of Libya behind the Nation of Islam.
You were a loophole for Muammar Gaddafi?
I don't know what he means by loophole. Maybe you ought to invite him on 60 Minutes.
I have.
And ask him. But certainly, I can't be a functionary for Muammar Gaddafi. However, I would be most happy to detail my conversation with him if I'm subpoenaed before Congress.
That subpoena to talk to the Congress about his travels to America's enemies in the Middle East has not been issued. Nonetheless, I reminded him he didn't go to Egypt, where Sadat and Begin made peace, a Muslim and a Jew. Didn't go to Jordan, where King Hussein and Shimon Peres have made an accord. Didn't go to Israel, where Arafat and Rabin finally shook hands, instead of just going to a lot of dictatorships. To go to a democratic country where Jews and Muslims are beginning to reconcile might have been a wonderful sign for you, Minister Farrakhan, to show to the world.
If they're on the road to reconciliation, that's fine. But, you know, there's also the possibility of my being assassinated overseas. Egypt right now is a place where it's very, very volatile. And I thought that
if all you can think about is whether somebody gonna kill you, what if I'm walking around here worrying about who's gonna kill me? I can't get the job done. Not if I'm working for God. That's why the messenger said that in order, before God can choose a man, that man got to be willing to give up his life. You know, that don't mean the man got a death wish. But you can't. You got to make up your mind. Do you believe Allah can protect you or not? And if Allah want me dead, all the protection in the world ain't gonna help me. And if he wants me to live, all of your weapons and stuff ain't gonna do you a bit of good against me, no matter what kind of weapon you use. So that's not my worry. My worry is, what does Allah want me to do? So that was a weak answer he gave there. Because he's not me. He's not the one to come after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the whole world, he said, there ain't nobody coming behind me but God. I better tell you that. He told everybody that. I done played it for you, I don't know how many times. If you didn't hear it, all you had to do is tell me I didn't hear it. I'll play it for you right now. But anyway, watch when Mike Wallace there, that in there, when he gonna throw something out there, and Minister Farrakhan gonna fall right into it.
Rounding, it might not be the best place for me at this time. If I went to Israel, I don't think Israel would be the best place for me to be at this time, considering the view that most Jews have of Louis Farrakhan.
You go to Nigeria, which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy, but there in Africa, you're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted. 30 years ago, black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings? Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet, because with that much blood on America's hands, you have no right to speak. I will speak because I don't have that blood on my hand. Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help them.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one. Yes, you've done a hell of a thing on this earth, so you should not be the one to talk. You should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation, in my judgment. I didn't mean to be so fired up.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's my passion.
Never tell the truth and then apologize after you told it, unless you really didn't mean it and was just talking. So all of that pretend indignation was done away with a smile. See? You know, in this world, this is the acting capital of the world. Everybody is an actor, a pretender. You got people that they just put on a show. And that's almost second nature to this country. And now almost second nature to the whole world. Everybody playing to an audience. Now, he's about to walk him right into it.
I first recognized the passion of the Black Muslim movement and Louis Farrakhan way back in 1959 when I anchored a broadcast entitled The Hate That Hate Produced. The Black Muslim meeting we filmed included a mock trial, a kind of passion play, where the white man was judged for crimes against the black race. The voice you will hear is that of the prosecutor. This tape will show you why white America was worried about the black Muslims.
I charge the white man, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, with being the greatest murderer on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest peace breaker on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest adulterer on earth. I charge the white man with being the greatest troublemaker on earth. So therefore, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I ask you, bring back a verdict of guilty as charged.
I'm sure you remember that. You wrote it.
Yes.
And you believed that then?
Oh, yes, I believe it now. History is not false. If he says that the white man did all these things, I did not write the white man's history. That history is written in murder, in the bloodshed of the darker peoples of the world, and even in the bloodshed of your own people.
Back at that time, Elijah Muhammad, the man whom you revere and still regard as the Messiah, in a certain sense, no?
Yes.
He wanted a separation. I couldn't even talk to him. Do you still believe in separation of the races?
I believe, Mike, that if we can't get along in peace, then we should separate. We have serious differences that are exacerbated now over.
The proper response to that is that we're already separated. Whether you believe in it or not, it's already the reality. And so rather than go around like dogs, trying to go in white people's community where they don't want us, then we need to quit begging them and start doing for ourselves, like the messenger taught us. You know, I mean, the only thing you done gain from integration is you've become more wicked. We used to could leave home when we was living on our side and neighbors on their side. You could leave home and leave your door unlocked. Wasn't nobody going in there and getting nothing, bothering none of your stuff. But the more close you got to them, the more you start acting more like them. Until now, you got so full of their knowledge that you don't want to be nowhere where it ain't nothing but your people. And you said it. I done heard you say it. I don't want to be nowhere where it ain't nothing but niggas. That's what you say. That's a white man talking. He just happened to be in black skin. But that's the mind that's in you. You see? So, you know, it's time now that you be truthful. The first step to freeing yourself of a sickness or a disease or an affliction is to first recognize that you have that affliction. It's just like when they do Al-Anon. You know, the first thing they make you do is stand up in there and acknowledge that you are an alcoholic. You don't stand up and say, well, I got a little drinking problem. Say, no, everybody go off on you. You ain't got no drinking problem. You're an alcoholic, man. So just admit it. And then when you admit, if you won't admit it, they can't help you. If you're not going to admit that you can't go through white people's school system and come out black, you can't come out loving black. You come out hating black. That's why don't nobody have to tell you to boycott a black man's business. You just do it without even thinking about it. You go and run and beg white people to bring something in your community. Bring a business in here. Bring something in here. Why? I'll tell you why. It's because you hate black people. If a black man try to bring something in there, as far as you're concerned, it ain't a business. Because you hate yourself. You look in the mirror and you hate the fact that your skin is black. And we had that old saying, and even though we may not say it no more, we still think it. If you're black, get back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, you're mellow. And if you're white, you're right. Yeah. Bunch of hustlers, and liars, thieves.
Between black and white, the question that we have to answer, are those differences irreconcilable?
Are they?
I don't know. Have we tried as hard as we could to reconcile them? And if we have, and we cannot, then separation would be the best answer.
But you are suggesting that it's basically the white man's fault.
Oh, no, Mr. Wallace. I'm not going to say that. Because justice would not be served if I said it was all the fault of white people.
Reason that
we have to take some blame in this ourselves. As black people, we can't sit around waiting for white people to do for us what we should be doing for ourselves. And our failure to do this is our fault. White folk have done bad by us in the past. Yes, that is true. And they do some bad by us today. But if we did better by ourselves today, we could help to reconcile this difference.
Farrakhan's call for black men to do better for themselves was the theme of his Million Man March. Last fall, he called black men from all across America to come to Washington for a Day of Atonement. And they came. His message, change your lives. But after the march, he says, he was depressed, somehow sad, hurt by the mainstream media who he felt failed to give him proper credit for his extraordinary accomplishment in organizing the march. He withdrew to the Nation of Islam's compound in Phoenix, Arizona. He disappeared from the public eye for almost 3 months. Then he reemerged for that tour of Africa and the Middle East. To observers like Dr. C. Eric Lincoln, a distinguished black historian and professor emeritus at Duke University, who has studied the Nation of Islam since the 1950s, Farrakhan's trip squandered a great opportunity. Professor Lincoln told me he was disgusted with your trip to the Middle East and to Africa. He said, he blew it. After the Million Man March, he feels that you had what you were after. You had put yourself in the position as a leader of the entire black community in America, which you had never had before. And then that you just threw it away with the trip to Africa. Now, this is from a man, yes, scholar, been a guest in your home, yes, loves you and your wife. And I love him. Let me say this. There are many people like Dr. Lincoln who think just like that. They were hurt because they watched my struggle. And they said, now he has arrived, okay? Right. And they felt not only that I had arrived for me, I had arrived for them because secretly they have wanted to embrace Louis Farrakhan. And just as they were about to put their arms around me, I went to Africa and the Middle East. And to quote them, I blew it. You spoke, in their view, against your own country. You know, some of your best patriots are those who never went along with the government position. Listen, everyone that stepped back from me, they didn't run away. They're behind a tree, looking. Is he going to make it? How's he going to get out of this one? Oh, my God, I'm not a politician. I don't do what people think I should do. I do what God inspires me to do. Which one of these leaders would have asked me to call for 1 million men to come to Washington? Not one. That was an inspiration from God that I followed, and they all applauded. Great thing you did. Mm-hmm. God inspired me to get up and leave this country, and before long, those same critics will say, I was wrong, Farrakhan. I want to show you.
And he not telling the whole truth there. When them preachers asked him, was he going to use that march to propagate his faith, he told them no. So don't say God inspired you to do something when it wasn't to propagate faith in God. No, God didn't inspire that. Ego inspired that. Now, any of you that say that I don't know what I'm talking about, I got other tapes. Some of y'all done heard them and seen them. Huh? So, you know, I don't like people pretending. You know, if you think I'm pretending, well then tell me what you think I'm pretending about. But Allah does not inspire you to deny him. You hear me?
Yes, sir.
Allah will try you and see if you will deny him. That's what the depression was for. Because after he got what he wanted, after making an agreement to not try to get people to come into Islam, he got what he wanted, which was a march. But he didn't get no joy out of it because it was not inspired by Allah.
Mr. Farrakhan, an excerpt from your speech, Savior's Day in Chicago, a couple of months ago.
I know you want to kill me, but I just raised the price. You want me dead, but you're going to pay a price to get that result.
Who wants to kill you? Why?
I believe that conversation is raging right now in government circles because I appear to be interfering with America's foreign policy objectives in Africa and in the Middle East. They want me kind of silenced or muzzled, and if they can destroy my credibility, as they did Martin Luther King first, take him down in the eyes of his people and then assassinate him. I don't believe that America is beyond that. I believe it's being discussed right now in the White House. I believe it's being discussed by certain members of Congress. How are you going to deal with Farrakhan? Yes, I presented you with a dilemma, but I'm warning America. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not Malcolm X. I'm in a little different time frame. And I think you would be wise to see if God is with me. And if God is with me, you would be well to leave me alone.
More from Louis Farrakhan on Mike Tyson and rape, on Malcolm X, and on his relationship with America's Jewish community when we return. Louis Farrakhan despairs of the manner in which too many black men in America, he says, treat women, their wives, and others too. I asked him why he had recently gone to Las Vegas to watch a convicted rapist, Mike Tyson, fight for the heavyweight title. We talked with him before Mike Tyson's latest episode of alleged sexual harassment in Chicago. What message does it send to your sisters in Islam that you went, in effect, to glorify a convicted rapist?
Do you deny another human being the chance to change, to be made better? Before Mike Tyson went to prison, he visited me. We talked. And I told Mike.
You know, when you start getting into personal things of people, you ain't never heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad giving no interviews like this. You know, whenever people can just lead you where they want you to go and whatnot, you know, we are not a people who, as the messenger well knew, who had not gotten over our fear of white people. And consequently, everything they ask, you know, him, he feel like he's obligated to even make a comment on. You know, you don't, It's like I tell all of you all. I had a wood shop teacher that he would, it was Mr. Logan, and he would ask us a question sometime, like, you know, what you, what did you do about this or do about that? And we start telling, well, I remember yesterday when I was son, and we'd be talking and telling him a whole bunch of stuff that had nothing to do with what he asked us. And he said, look, shut up. I asked you where you're going, you tell me where you've been. Look, learn to answer what's asked if necessary, and if not, be quiet. You talk too much. No wonder they said anything you say can and will be used against you, because you give people stuff to throw up in your face that ain't about nothing. You know, I wish you all would just learn to listen when someone is talking to you. When you listen to people, it tells you a lot about what's going on in their head, especially the questions they ask you. And if they're playing with a snake, what's wrong with you? Yeah. Anyway, this is not the one that I really was
sitting with me one night. They said, you are so charming. And so from that, I started calling myself the charmer. I wish that I could be charming today.
You should be ashamed. It was when Malcolm X's daughter, Kubila, was arrested.
Mr. Wallace, that atonement and all media are... And you have wrapped your tentacles around the U.S.
That's a message of reconciliation. It's bound to be perceived as anti-Semitic, and you know it, and you do it over and over again.
I quoted, the synagogue of Satan is part of a scripture in the book of Revelations, the 2nd chapter and the 3rd chapter. It says, and I quote, those who say they are Jews and are not, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan.
The people you're talking to there, the people who saw that on television, they aren't students of the Bible.
See, now that's the problem with going from the Bible when it suits you, or going from God's word when it suits you. And even the way that was said, that's not what was said. It does not say what those of the sin. I will make it of the synagogue of Satan. No, it's right there in the. Whenever I'm quoting God's word, I always like to have it right there where you can read it yourself. And it's the 9th verse of this 2nd chapter of Revelation. It says, I know thy works and the tribulation and poverty. Well, you notice. When you look at me, you see that actually fits. Well, I am in a poverty-stricken area. And I'm not, I'm not a wealthy person. But Allah told me that I'm rich. He said, but thou art rich. Rich in what? Rich in the knowledge of God. And I know the blasphemy which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Do you understand? Those who claim to be Jews and are really not, they're not the producers of the Son of Man. They didn't produce me. The messengers of God are the Jews that produced the Lamb. Do you understand?
Yes.
But those over there, that in their synagogue, they are the synagogue of Satan. That's what your book tells you. All of these religions of the man of sin. That's who Satan is. He's the man of sin. And the book says, that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be what? The greatness of the man of sin of Revelation. Huh? So that's why they don't, don't nobody confront me about what I'm saying and try to make it look like I'm teaching something that's a lie, something that's talking about anti-Semitic. If you ask him that's asking that, what is Semitic? What that mean? You know, talking about that's the descendants of Shem. That's a lie. All people on earth are Semitic people except us. We're the only created people on earth. We didn't come out of somebody else's semen. We came out of the earth itself. We are the Asiatic black original people. We without father, without mother, without beginning of days, without ending of days. Why? How could we possibly know what our beginning was when there was no, we didn't have the ability, nobody to tell us? As long as we can remember, we've been here. And we're the only people who can say that. Everybody else, we know how old you are. We made you. And they teach you that in school. Modern man is 6,000 years old. That's what they were teaching when I was in their junior high school. Prehistoric man. What do you mean prehistoric man? A man that predates the history of these modern men. Before whose history? We can't be before ourselves. But we show before all of these brown, yellow, and white folks. So you know, we are not without the knowledge of ourselves in that. You know, but he's sitting up there, then he got some of the armor and it's done fell off. The book say put on the whole armor of God, the whole word of God. You see what happened when you put on a little piece of it.
You are. They don't know the scripture as you do. What they hear.
He don't know the scripture. That's why Mike Wallace talking to him.
I heard was overtones of absolute, you were sticking it to the Jews once again.
In reality, Mr. Wallace, you know, I've heard whites say they're good and bad in every race.
Yeah.
And if they're good and bad in every race, does that not apply to Jews? Are they bad Jews? And if there are good Jews, what constitutes a good Jew?
Give me a list of a half a dozen good Jews.
No, only God knows who the good are. There are good appearing Muslims, there are good appearing Christians, there are good appearing Jews, but who is good? And so
ain't none of you good. Why I'm here. The scripture says, even Jesus, when you called him good, he said, there ain't none good but one. I don't know what you're calling me good for. He said, wherefore callest thou me good? There's none good but one, and that's God. If there was somebody good, then they would be able to guide others to goodness. But no. Allah had to create a good one. I can point out the fault in me, but you can't. What you see as a fault, as the messenger said, be careful what you dislike about your brother. It may be an attribute of God. You know, it's like people claim that sometimes they'll tell me that I don't know how to talk to people. Simply because I'm doing the job that I was put here for. I wasn't put here to dress up the truth and be careful about how it sounds to you. Allah told me to speak with his words. Period. Withhold not correction from those who humble themselves as a child. If thou beatest him up with the word, with the rod, he ain't gonna die. It's a brother with me right now that was cussing at me and doing some everything. And when I got on him, after I, fussed him, he was cussing for a while, even talking about my mama. And it dawned on me where's this coming from? And I realized he had ran into somebody out there that called themselves a Muslim that had messed over him. Obviously. But I corrected him. No, you can come in here and do that to me. Nope. And now, there's a lot of people that started off, people thought I didn't know how to talk to. But I'm here to correct you when you're wrong, not kowtow to you. Now, if you don't like it, don't come in here. But you ain't gonna come in my class and tell me how to teach. I ain't never seen a teacher that was worth their salt let you come in their class and dictate to them how they should carry themselves. They tell you how to carry yourself. If you want to come in here and talk to me, you come in here and recognize that I'm the Son of Man. If you don't want to recognize me as that, don't come in here. I'm not here to beg you for your attention. I don't care if you're black as tar or white as snow. When you come in here, you recognize my authority. And if you don't, stay out. And I ain't got no apologies to make to you for telling you the truth. You correct yourself. That's what you do.
But are those who live by the standard that makes you a Jew. Once you deviate from that standard, you're not a Jew anymore.
See, you haven't even learned that, it's not even proper to be calling none of these people Jews. The true Jews are the messengers of God. That's the truth. They are the sheep. Here these people done put on sheep's clothing and come out calling themselves Jews or Jews. Ain't no J in the Hebrew language according to them. Then how are you calling yourself a Jew? The proper term is ewe, and it's a female sheep. As in, unto us a child is born. and they are not Jews. They are the synagogue of Satan. And that's what the book teaches you. And let one come in here and tell me, you, Israel, getting this broadcast. Let them get one of their scholars to come in here and refute what I'm saying. When the book says, I'm the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, that's just another way of saying I'm the God of Israel. I don't have to bite my tongue for Israel and nobody else. I'm here to save you. You ain't saving me. You gotta straighten your crooked self up. Now, when the forces of nature are let loose on you, you will wish you had listened to me. If you think this little stuff that's happening to you right now with the rain and this stuff is happening, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen destructive power yet.
My vantage point.
Have you talked about bad Muslims?
Of course.
Who?
There are bad Muslims. There are Muslims who did.
There ain't no such thing as a bad Muslim. There's no such thing as a bad Muslim. Muslim is a term which means to God. Name a prophet that was a bad prophet. Muslim. Name one. The messenger answered that question a long time ago. Are there any Muslims other than righteous? He said, I beg your pardon, I've never heard of one. If you're not righteous, you're not a Muslim. You're a hypocrite, a liar, pretending to be something you're not. Now, if that ain't so, how come ain't nobody correcting me? Really? If you say all these people is, anybody can be a Muslim, yes, anybody can be a Muslim. If you couldn't be, Allah wouldn't invite you to Islam. Well, when you are invited to Islam, you are invited to entire submission to the will of God. And you are a Muslim if you submit entirely to God's will. That's why it is written, submit yourselves therefore unto God and resist the deviser of illusion. Resist your evil thought. Resist your devils. And they will flee from you. He will flee from you. Do you understand? For, even though you got many evil thoughts, they come one at a time. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Perish the thought. I didn't hear you?
Yes, sir.
You see? All praises due to Allah. We are not a people who don't know what we teach. We know what we teach.
From the path of God, I'm not anti-Semitic. I do not hate Jews. I want this to be very clear. I do not hate Jews. I do not hate people. Skin is white. What I hate is evil and injustice and exploitation, whether a black does it, whether a white does it, whether a Jew, a Muslim, or a Christian does it.
And Farrakhan, despite all his past rhetoric, now says he wants to make a genuine effort at reconciliation with the Jewish community in America.
I am willing to visit the board of rabbis in any city in America, sit down and talk with those scholars of Judaism. I am willing to visit a synagogue. and speak to the Jewish people, because I do not want Jewish children to believe that they have somebody who, if he comes into great power, will put them in ovens. I don't want that for my children. I don't want that for your children. And if we don't want that for our children, then the question is, what are we willing to do today to stave off any ugly future?
Have you made that kind of a suggestion before, Minister Farrakhan?
Yes, I have.
And what has been the response?
Well, there are always preconditions. Well, Farrakhan, if you tone down your rhetoric,
well, you sure haven't toned down your rhetoric.
I can't tone down what I believe to be truth. And if it's truth, and if I'm in error, how am I going to know that? Unless there's a dialogue. And
you know, how many times have I told some of his people to set up a meeting for us? He don't mean that. But the mere fact that he said he believes what he is saying is true. That's not what we worship. We don't worship what we believe. As the Jesus said, we know what we worship. You worship that which ye know not, which you believe. No, beliefs are not always true. Well, how you going to find it out if you won't open up a dialogue? Huh? The first one he should want a dialogue with is the first ones that I'm trying to get a dialogue with. Is all black people. You don't see me running from no preachers or running from nobody, wherever if they look like me, that want to talk to me. I'm not running from you. I'm running to you. But you all running from me. You know why you running? Because you've made a business out of religion. You're not interested in saving nobody, no souls, and bringing people to God. You interested in bringing people to your church so you can take their money to your bank. That's what you interested in.
well, Farrakhan, here's the truth. And if you can show me that I love truth, and I hope that I'm humble enough, be open enough to see the truth.
Did you hear that? You can't tell me you love truth and then hope that you open to it. Do you see the contradiction there?
My Jewish Wallace, come on, we've heard all this before. He's not to be trusted. You know that.
Well, that's on both sides.
I know it.
That's on both sides. I could say, well, we've heard that before too, of reconciliation. Look at the Indians, look at all the treaties that were signed, and look at where they are. So let's not talk about trust, because I really don't think that you've earned trust. But we can earn it together, but time is running out on all of us. And I think if we're going to make that move, why not let's make it now?
As we said, Louis Farrakhan, with the success of the Million Man March, made himself a man to watch in America. How many legions does he have? But there is no doubt that beyond his card-carrying followers in the nation of Islam, there are millions of Americans.
You see how he dropped that in there? How many legions does he have?
Yes, sir.
Anyway, you have to know the scriptures to understand that. But anyway, I'm not here to deceive you, and I'm not here to stand by and let you be deceived when I could have told you or warned you that you don't want to go that way. Okay, now you want to go follow? You go ahead. Here's a man who's teaching false religion, his spiritual father. He used to call the Honorable Elijah Muhammad his spiritual father until he found out what his name meant. And then he got mad. The wrong thing to do when a messenger of God is with you. Get mad at him. Because you're mad at God then. Because that's your God. We sent no messenger but that he should be obeyed. When you judged him, you got judged. As the messenger said, some of them started off following me. You know, now they're only doing it in the word on. Huh? Yeah. The messenger was a very wise man. So, because he came, he was given wisdom from the wise God. See?
So man, he's not out to beg for him of people. He's independent of us. He tells us the truth and tells us to take it or leave it. It's to our benefit if we are accepted. It's to our destruction if we disbelieve. We have always been like our enemy. And now our friends. I'm hypocrites of mine. They started out following me very nice. And now they're not following me, only in words. I know hypocrites of mine. They started out following me very nice. And now they're not following me, only in words. So I say, you are putting yourself, go away from me, and you have no friend with God nor man. This is what I am telling you.
Well, that's the truth. The God nor man. That's right. Yeah. When you understand who man is, then you understand why he said it like that. It's just like when he told that many times you have wished that my God and your God, Master Farad Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad was dead. So, he understood that Master Farad Muhammad, he was the only one that recognized Master Farad Muhammad was God. The truth that came in him, as the messenger said, Allah came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. The truth that came to the nation of Islam came in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And and all of the circle of God, they are one. You meet one, you met us all. Not no, the only thing that's different is the vessel. The mind, same thing, same mind. So we're not, you notice, you go on the assembly line at the Chrysler or GM or Ford, when they got them vehicles rolling off that line, it's the same vehicle. Maybe different colors, but the same vehicle. Till they switch over. Then they start cranking out some more of the same ones. So all praises due to Allah. So, they tell me we're going to be off the air in a minute. And, just remember now, I want to say tomorrow morning, have prayer service on your own. Won't be having a congregational prayer together tomorrow. I have something that came up that we have to do. So now I know some of y'all ain't listening, half sleep and all that kind of thing, and you'll be you're not gonna make it like that. I repeat, we're not having congregational prayer service tomorrow together. Just go on and have prayer tomorrow, usual time, and we will after this Saturday, that's just this one Saturday, we won't be having congregational prayer together. Tomorrow, you just go on and have prayer. Don't call into the conference room to my prayer service. Where's everybody at? I told you, we're not going to be in there tomorrow. Are there any questions? Okay. And did anybody have any questions on anything else? I figured if you had some questions, you wouldn't have waited until the end of the class to ask. So, and I think people are starting to realize that you can't do me like you thought you could. Now, if you want to, I hate casting people into hell. Now, if any of you all that I done cast into hell done had enough of it, you same place you came in and showed your behind, you come in and apologize. Then I will forgive you. Then all you have to do is ask Allah, see if he who put me here will forgive me. Am I clear?
Yes.
All right. I hate to see anybody lost and suffering, but you brought it on yourself. So, may Allah bless us who humble ourselves and seek him with our whole heart. May he bless us and keep us safe and in our right minds. And grant to you and me a peaceful night's rest and sleep and a happy and peaceful morning's rise. May Allah's Salam Alaikum.